All right, let's go ahead and look at the results of that code. So if we take a look at the console here, I'm going to keep that open. I'm going to show the code at the same time. So let me just resize this window here. And we can see that for the first console log statement, we're displaying window. For the second one, and for the fourth one. The third one, we're displaying object. Now let's walk through this, because these results may be a bit confusing. It may not be what we would expect. So first off, we've declared a function, function 1. Inside of that is where everything happens, and we invoke that function down here. Now, the first console log statement has to do with that first function. How is that function invoked? Well, we don't have an object in front of it, so by default, it receives the window object as a value for this keyword. Now, inside of that function, we have another function declared, function 2, and we invoke that from inside the function. So will that reference function 1? Will this keyword reference that? No. If we keep to our rule of how the function is invoked, we can see that there is no object invoking it. So by default, it is the window object that gets referenced from the keyword this. Now, when function 2 is running, it creates an object, obj, right here. We create that object. Now, inside of that, we have a name property, but we also have a method, function 3. That's a method of this object. And we invoke that method using obj.function3. And we can see that when that logs to the console, right here, the keyword this references the object itself. If we go ahead and open that up, we can see that it is that object. Now here's where things get a bit confusing. Inside of that method that's on the object, function 3, we declared another function, function 4, and we invoked it. And that gets the keyword this assigned to the window as well, because it's not being invoked by any specific object. We don't have anything directing it to be in front of it. But this is where it's a bit confusing. Normally we would think this has got to refer to the object it's in, because we're thinking lexically. This is where it's defined. And so this should refer to that object. It's inside of that object. Why does it not refer to it? Well, the value of the keyword this is defined dynamically instead of lexically. So it doesn't depend on where the code is. It depends on how it is invoked. Now, this can be frustrating, because this may be something we want referring to the object, this keyword. We don't want it referring to the window. And so there's some ways around it that we're going to look at as we move on in this topic. But first, before we move on, I want to just add a use strict at the top. And what do you think they're going to produce now? What is console log 1, 2, 3, and 4 going to produce? 3 shouldn't change. We know that one's being invoked by obj. So that shouldn't change. But will the other 3 change? Well, let's take a look. We'll go ahead and save that. And we get undefined. Because remember, when it's in strict mode, it doesn't automatically default the keyword this to the window object, which can be a nice feature. However, it also doesn't fix this problem here, where we think this should be referring to the object it is in, or we want it to refer to the object it is in, and not just refer to undefined. So let's move on and talk about the keyword this some more.